Hey guys, and welcome into another round of grades for the divisions of the NFL. Today we're going to be doing the NFC West. We're going to be doing the AFC West later today as well, so be sure to look out for that double upload. And if you guys haven't already, please be sure to like the video and subscribe if you are new. If you're part of the 97% of viewers that don't subscribe but watch these videos, it would help out a lot. The channel's growing. We're doing a lot of NFL content, rebuilds on Madden coming soon as well. So be sure to just be on the lookout for everything coming from this channel, as we're going to be growing a lot more throughout the upcoming months. But overall, we're going to be going through one of the best divisions in football, if not, in my personal opinion, the best division in football. I mean, right now they have 4 teams that should be competing for a playoff spot, and obviously all of them can't make it, so it creates a little bit of a dynamic. But the Cardinals and Deandre Hopkins are going to be our first team out of the NFC West that we're going to be covering here. And they started off with their draft with Isaiah Simmons. I'm going to try and fly through these as well. The last ones were a little bit longer in videos, kind of like almost 30 minutes. So I'm going to try and get these under 20 minutes if I can. So I'll talk as quick as possible. Isaiah Simmons, love the pick. I gave it an A. I think they should have went offensive tackle. Jedrick Wills was still on the board. He would have just fit them perfectly, but they wanted to go with the weapon in Isaiah Simmons, and I don't blame them. This guy was so hyped coming out of Clemson. Just his athletic traits stream off the board to you, and I understand what they want to do. I think Vance Joseph's going to be able to move him where he needs to be. Maybe more of a sub-linebacker, strong safety kind of package is where I kind of view him as playing in the NFL level, but overall, you can't knock the talent this guy has. It is a little bit worrisome that they didn't go tackle because of Kyler Murray's sack issues last year. He was getting hit like nobody's business, and you need to protect your franchise quarterback, but they do address it later. I just don't know if right tackle is ever going to be fixed this year. We'll see what happens. Isaiah Simmons, I give that one an A. Then we go over to the third round, where, in the second round, they took DeAndre Hopkins with the trade, as we know. So great value there for DeAndre Hopkins. Then in the third round, Josh Jones, this is an A++. This guy should not have been here in the third round. He should have went somewhere in the second because he did not go in the first. I saw him as a perennial first rounder. There was no way in hell I thought he was falling out of the first round, especially with how many teams, especially later in the rounds, could have used one. Seattle could have used a tackle. The Dolphins had a couple of chances to take a tackle. Other teams could have even traded back in to take a tackle as well. So for him to fall all the way through the first round and the second round, that was crazy to me. And to get to pick 8, also insane. So the value here is great. If you can move him to right tackle, that'd be great. If you have to keep him at left, maybe move Humphries to right. I feel like there's different ways you can go about it. But the talent and upside that Josh Jones brings to your offense does help out Kyler Murray. And I think that you're going to be able to find a place for him on this offensive line, and he'll be able to do very good with it. Then we go over to the package of D tackles they got here in the fourth round, with Leki Fotu starting us off here at pick 8. I gave this one only an A compared to an A+. I love the fit. I love what he brings. I just thought it was a little bit early for him. I didn't think he was the best defensive tackle on the board. I actually think they got the best defensive tackle on the board with their next pick, which is crazy. But he's going to run stuff up the middle. He's going to plug those holes, and that's really what you can ask your defensive tackle to do, especially in the defense that they run with Chandler Jones off the edge. They pretty much just have 1 or 2 guys, big guys in the middle, just to plug the holes, and Leki Fotu can definitely add to that. Him and the guy we're going to talk about right now, Rashard Lawrence, as well, out of LSU, who I thought was the best defense tackle on the board. Again, another guy who's going to be able to just maul in the middle. He's a little bit shorter, a little bit undersized compared to Fotu, but overall, he's going to make an impact. He was a big reason on why LSU was so dominant on their run last year, never losing a game. So between these two, I think that you're either going to find one of them to be a diamond in the rough, or both of them are going to be very, very good to where you're going to be able to rotate them out, use them both if you need to. Just use them in different sets, because I think both of them have the upside to produce very highly at the next level and in this defensive scheme that Vance Joseph runs. So overall, I love these 2 picks. Lawrence is an A+. I think he should have went, if Lawrence and Fotu switched places and they got them in those certain places, they probably would have both been A+. So love the picks. Fotu's an A, Lawrence is an A+. Then we go over to Evan Weaver out of Cal. This one I also gave an A. The Cardinals had a very solid draft if you aren't picking up on it. He's a great tackler. He's going to be used right away on special teams. I think that's going to be very well. Jordan Hicks had injury issues in Philadelphia. That's why they didn't keep him, and that's why he ended up going to the Cardinals. Was a very healthy season for him last year, but overall, you do still have those concerns. So getting more depth at the linebacker position is definitely something you could do. And he's going to be a guy who can just be a tackling machine. Kind of reminds me of a early Blake Martinez. If he could grow into a guy like Blake Martinez, we just saw him get paid by the Giants this offseason, he could end up being a solid player in the NFL. And then in the 7th round, one of the best picks of the draft, one of the biggest steals of the draft, in the 7th round, taking Eno Benjamin in-state from Arizona State. I give this one an A+++++++. You know how these are. I give 1 or 2 of those grades in each video, and this is one of them. Running back is still a little bit of a hole. They do have Kenyon Drake on a 1 year because of the tender, which is good. I think Kenyon Drake was an absolute perfect fit for them last year, as we saw. But overall, they need to add one more depth, and two, they need to find a long-term solution there at running back. This offense is going to be very much air raid because they have DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Larry Fitzgerald still there, Christian Kirk. It's going to be a very fun offense to watch. But a guy like Eno Benjamin, I think, after a year of learning and progressing and just getting used to and accumulated to the NFL level, I think it's a guy who might even be able to, if Kenyon Drake maybe didn't have too good of a season, or he's a little bit been inconsistent in his career, or maybe you just don't want to pay him what he's asking. This is a guy who I think maybe by the end of this year, I know it sounds crazy, but by the end of the 2020 season, could be good enough to be a starter in 2021. I think that his upside is that high. I think that he has the tools and the intangibles too. If you look at his 2018 tape, he was one of the best running backs in college football. He was on Heisman watch coming into the season. His season was a little bit poor compared to what he had, but overall, when you look at the Cardinals, I think this was a very, very good draft class for them. I don't think there's too many things I would change. Obviously, I think going offensive tackle first round would have been a little bit more of a help to the team, but I can't knock them for taking one of the best players in the draft, a top 5 talent in the draft in Isaiah Simmons here. So overall, A+ draft for the Arizona Cardinals. As we scroll over here to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, Los Angeles Rams started off in the second round because of the Jalen Ramsey trade, but they got, in pick 20, a running back to replace Todd Gurley, and that is going to be Cam Akers out of Florida State. Now, I give this one an A. I think J.K. Dobbins would have been the better pick here. They passed on him for Akers, but people did really have him as an underrated running back. I like what he can do because he had one of the worst offensive lines we've seen in a long time. So for him to be able to do what he did at Florida State and produce as much as he did at Florida State with that bad of an offensive line, it shows upside for a team that has a pretty decent offensive line in the Los Angeles Rams. You get a guy like Cam Akers to be back there. I think he's going to fit in very well. I think this is a solid pick. Personally, like I said, I would have taken Dobbins if I was here compared to Akers, but I don't knock them going running back. I just knock him down a little bit from an A+ to an A because I would have had Dobbins over Akers. I think the upside is more with Dobbins, but overall, I like what they get here in Akers. I think he can be a very solid running back at the next level, and we'll see what he can do right away next season. I think he's going to run away with that starting job. Then at pick 25 in the second round, they took Van Jefferson out of Florida. This is actually an A grade for me as well. People saw this as a little bit of a reach, a little bit higher than where they were expecting, but in reality, they're looking for a number 3 out of this. They already have Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Obviously, Cooks is gone, but when you look at what they get from Van, I mean, he is a beast of a route runner. He he doesn't have the top end speed, but he's able to use his size and speed decently. It's about where it should be. It's on par, So for him to be able to route run as well, I think that's what this offense really uses. Jared Goff is just a solid passer. You look at Kupp, he's usually their bigger receiver, the goal line guy. Woods is a great route runner. You add another route runner here. I think that you just have a solid route running tandem between all those three. You have another tight end to add to the mix later in the draft to your already 2 tight ends. You just have a very solid offense. There's nothing super special about it like it was a couple years ago when they were Super Bowl contenders, but right now I think that just adding solid football players is what you need, and I think you're getting that in Van Jefferson. Like I said, a little bit of a reach. I think he would have been maybe a third round guy more, but overall I like the fit here for them. I'm giving this one an A. We're going to go on a string of about 4 A+ in a row because I love what they did here in day 2, is what I meant to say. Early day 2, or late day 2, early day 3. I don't know why I can't spit these words out, but it's okay. We're getting into it with Terrell Lewis, one of my favorite players coming out of this draft. Getting him in the late 3rd round was absolutely insane to me. I thought for sure he would be a 2nd round talent, and for him to be there is really just great value for them. I love what he brings off the edge, and when you have a guy like Aaron Donald clogging up the middle and just kind of going wherever he wants in that defensive line, honestly, and mauling whoever's across from him, you're getting a guy in Terrell Lewis who's going to feed off of that. You just got Leonard Floyd as well. I mean, this is going to be a very solid defensive line, as it always has been with Aaron Donald being there. This is just going to add to it. I think he is going to be one of those guys who is going to be looked at as how the hell did he fall all the way to the end of the 3rd round. Well, I can't answer that now, and people aren't going to be knowing how to answer that in the few years. Love Terrell Lewis. We go to another Terrell here in Burgess out of Utah. I think that he just got versatility, and that's why I gave this one an A+. I think this is a little bit late for him as well. I think he was going to be more of an early 3rd rounder. For him to fall late 3rd round is really cool for them. But he's just versatile, man. He's going to be able to do different things on that defense. There's different spots that they could fill. This is going to be very much a trial period for the Rams. They're going to be trying a lot of new things the first few weeks and in the preseason. So if a few losses happen early in the season, it's nothing to scream and worry about. As Rams fans, you're going to have to wait for these teams like the Rams, and there's more teams. Obviously, we'll get to them within the few videos. But when you get a team like the Rams who lost a lot of players, have a lot of new guys coming in, you really have to find and mold where these guys are going to go. And that's why I think Terrell Burgess is going to help out, because you really need to find out where is this guy going to be the best fit. They're going to find that out whenever they're able to go back in person to practice and do what they need to do. So I really like the Terrell Burgess pick. Again, another A+ here in the 4th round, late 4th round for Bryson Hopkins. How the hell Bryson Hopkins fell to the late 4th round is beyond me. I thought for sure he'd go day 2. When he didn't go day 2, I thought he would be one of the early day 4 picks, round 4 picks. But overall, this guy at Purdue, he's got upside. You know, he dropped a little bit of footballs, which is a bit of concern, but I think he has all the upside in the world. He's got the size and strength that you need at the tight end position, in my opinion. But when you look at what you add, I mean, you already have Higbee, who's shown flashes. You had Ever that's shown flashes. Now you have Hopkins, who I think has the upside to be a solid tight end as well, to be a very good tight end at the next level. So you have 3 guys who all have upside, who have all produced very well. Worst comes to worst, you just have 3 very good tight ends, and you're able to put out whoever you want. And that's not a bad problem to have, in my opinion. You go over to, once again, another A+ grade in Jordan Fuller. Now, if you're tired of A+, just wait till we get to the Seahawks. We'll talk about them in a few minutes. But Jordan Fuller out of Ohio State, this guy was a tank for them these past 4 years. He has just been there for a long tenure. He's gained a lot of experience. He's played with a lot of great teams there, and he has just used that. He's going to use that at the next level. I think it's a guy who's going to be a steal in the late rounds. If I had to pick, him, Benjamin, just right away are 2 of the guys who I think are really, they shouldn't have been this late because of what they can offer to a team. So is he going to be used probably on special teams right away? Yes. Do I think he can progress in a year or 2 and become an actual starter at the NFL level? Absolutely. I think he has all the upside in the world to do that. So looking at what Jordan Fuller can do for a team, I really like what he's going to be able to produce and move around on the defensive side for the Rams. Help out even the growth of Terrell Burgess, as well as learn from a guy like John Johnson as well. So love the pick for Fuller there. Don't worry, Rams fans, you're going to be brought down to earth after all those A+ here with Clay Johnson. He wasn't even draftable on my board. He's got a lot of injuries. He's undersized. Not too much upside there. You want to think that, hey, maybe there's an upside because when he was healthy, he did this or whatever. But like I said, when you get to the late rounds, I guess you're just trying to get what do you call it? Special teams guys. So getting special teams guys, I guess, isn't horrible. But overall, I'm not too happy about this pick. I think if he was a UDFA, I'd be a little bit happier. But I would have rather went somewhere else, even though it's the late 7th round. It's not too big of a deal. Didn't really like this pick from the Rams. Also here with Sam Sloman, I gave this one a B because I think that you needed a kicker. So getting any kicker would have been good because if you draft one, you don't have to sign one until he sucks. But Rodrigo Blankenship is still on the board. I think he has a lot more upside than Sloman. Sloman had a lot of trouble even just keeping the ball in bounds on kickoffs. So I don't think he's going to be your kickoff guy if that's the case. But he does have a beast of a leg. It even says there he had 4 of his field goal attempts for 50 connect last year. So that's very good. You have a strong leg. Going from Greg the Leg to Sam Sloman is going to be really good. But I think that the upside with Blankenship would have been a little bit better in my opinion, who did go undrafted. So didn't really like the pick compared to what you could have gotten elsewhere, but overall you needed a kicker. Can't complain. That's a B grade there. And then Tremaine Ingram in the 7th round, basically one of the last picks of the draft, and I really like this pick. I didn't think he would fall past like maybe early day 3, like 6th round, 5th, but for him to be here at the end of the 7th round, they're going to get a guy who, can learn and progress. He is an absolute tank of a beast. If you haven't seen him, I mean, just looking at that picture, he is a monster of a human being. He's able to maul people. So getting him here in the 7th round, I love the value there. I think that he is a guy who, once again, can, like Jordan Fuller, can be able to grow within the first few years into a possible starter after maybe 2 years. Not everybody's able to just come in and make an impact right away. Some of them need to sit down, learn, get accumulated. And I think that's what you're getting out of Trey Ingram. Overall, Rams draft, a couple of picks I didn't like, but overall that run from Terrell Lewis to Jordan Fuller was absolutely a blessing for them. I like what they did with their round 2 picks. They could have went elsewhere, but overall I think those guys fit them perfectly. So overall, when you look at what this draft class is, I give this one also an A+, like the Cardinals. I think that there's a couple things that would have changed, but overall, I don't think Cam Johnson late in the 7th round is going, or Clay Johnson, is really going to kill your draft class, in my opinion. So I really like what they did here. Going on to Seattle. All right, let's get into it. Seattle sucked with this draft class, at least initially. They got better, then they got worse again. It was a roller coaster for Seattle fans, and I understand if anyone's pissed. They added Jordan Brooks out of Texas Tech, which was a giant head scratcher. You look, there were still offensive tackles like Josh Jones, Ezra Cleveland still on the board. Edge rusher was still a big need for them. Epineza was still on the board. Gross Matos was still on the board. I thought for sure they would go Gross Matos here. You could even add a receiver if you wanted to, and there were still some decent receivers. Denzel Mims was falling, etc. So this is just a weird pick. It even has the year 6th ranked linebacker for them, and I don't even disagree. I thought he was more of a late round 2, somewhere in the day 2 range, but probably late round 2, early round 3, in my opinion. He's got speed, he brings upside, but it's just a weird pick for them to take here because I don't think linebacker is really their weak spot. I think that there's a lot of other weak spots there. So I gave this one an F-, actually. You didn't even get the best linebacker on the board. You passed up on Patrick Queen for Jordan Brooks. And then the next pick, the Ravens were like, holy shit, Patrick Queen's still on the board. So for you guys to pick Jordan Brooks over a guy like Patrick Queen when linebacker wasn't even a need, linebacker wasn't a need. If you would have taken Patrick Queen, it would have been like a C grade, You got a great player. I love Patrick Queen, but, you didn't need a linebacker. Now, you didn't even take the best linebacker. You didn't even take the second best linebacker, in my opinion. This is a little bit too high of a reach for me. You probably could have gotten with your 2nd round pick, in my opinion. So, didn't like this pick at all. I gave this an F-. Hopefully he turns out to be a great player and makes us eat our words, but overall this still is not a need for this team. I think that you could have gone elsewhere, and that's what I'll say about that. Then in round 2 at pick 16, they took Terrell Taylor out of Tennessee. I did like this pick a little bit more. I gave it a B+. Another guy where I personally think that there was better talent on the board, Epineza fell. I think he was a little bit better of a talent there, but you're definitely getting some upside from Taylor out of Tennessee to fill that kind of Frank Clark role is what I would say. They kind of were missing him a lot last year. When you look at what they did with Jadeveon Clowney was good, but Clowney right now is still a free agent. We don't know what's going to happen with him, and they need that pass rusher, and that's what they're getting out of Taylor. So I like what they're getting there in the middle of the 2nd round. Like I said, better talent available, but overall B+ for that one. Not bad at all. I really like that pick. Then you go over to Damian Lewis in the 3rd round. I gave this one an A. They needed an offensive guard. He was one of the better guards in the draft class. This wasn't a very strong guard class. It was definitely going to be a day 2 thing for the guards to start coming off. But overall, he is going to probably start day 1. He's going to be a mauler. He's got the upside. He's got the strength. He doesn't really have the most height, which is fine. As a guard position, you don't really need to be the tallest. But overall, his size and ability is going to produce at the next level. Anytime an offensive lineman goes to Seattle, I'm happy because Russell Wilson has been running around too damn long in his career. You're paying him too much money to be running around that much still. So Damian Lewis, I love the fit. He'll probably be a starter right away, and I think that is a good pick. Then we go over to late round 4, Colby Parkinson out of Stanford. I loved this pick. I gave this one an A+ because he has the upside and the intangibles that you wanted when you signed Jimmy Graham a few years back, and you never got it really from Jimmy. 6'7". That should say it all that you want. His catch radius is insane. He's a big target. He's able to make catches and win those 50-50 balls that not many people can do. That's what I really like about his game. Is there different tight ends, maybe better tight ends that were still available? I'd say so, yes. But for the fit and for what they need from their tight end position, they're not the ones that use it too often. Will Disley definitely gets production. I think it's Will Disley's job to lose, and his injuries have really made him lose the job more and more. Overall, they've gotten some production though. They re-signed Luke Wilson. You getting Colby Parkinson. First of all, great head of hair for the tight ends there in Luke Wilson and Colby Parkinson. But I think this is a big target for them. And I think that's what they need at their tight end position. He's going to be able to do well. He's even thin enough, a good enough build to where you can move him outside of receiver sets if you need him to. So I like the Colby Parkinson picks there. I think it's a very solid value in the late 4th round. Then also in the late 4th round, another very good value here, DJ Dallas. Now, I gave this one an A as well because I like what he brings. He's not really a guy that's going to be able to hold a workload at a running back position, but he's going to be able to go out there, make a couple of defenders miss and catch some balls if he needs to. I think that's what you're really going to ask him to do. You're not going to ask him to do more. And anytime, as a Chris Carson owner in fantasy football, anytime I can see a different running back other than CJ freaking Prosise steal touchdowns from Carson, I am okay with it. So I think Chris Carson, his injuries have been a concern. His fumbling has been a concern. That's why he hasn't run away with the starting job. And of course, that they're trying to give Rashad Penny more looks because they wasted a first-round pick on him a few years back. But getting a guy like DJ Dallas is going to be great depth for them. He's going to be able to get thrown in there in sets, especially with the injuries that Carson's dealt with as well. And Penny last year was dealing with some injuries as well. So this is some solid depth to get. Get rid of CJ Prosise, please. I'm so tired of seeing him steal these touchdowns, and I love the pick here from DJ Dallas. Then we go over to the 5th round. Another one of the A+++ is here. One of my favorite prospects in college football, Alton Robinson out of Syracuse. Now, I have a little bit of Syracuse bias, I will not lie, but I think that he is just able to he has the upside to be a perennial Pro Bowler at the next level with time. With time is like the key word there. This is a guy who I think I've been saying for months he's going to be a steal for the draft, in my opinion. But I mean, he has the intangibles. He has the athleticism. He has to work on the fundamentals. He has to learn a little bit. I think he has all the tools to do that. I mean, you have one of the best leaders in the NFL in Bobby Wagner. You're able to do different things here with this defense. This is one of the best defenses for such a long time, and that's not a wrong case. That's not a surprise because of what they've been able to do for such a long time. I love what Alton Robinson brings to a team. I think that he might not make an impact his rookie year, maybe not even his second year, but when he is able to start, when he is able to be fundamentally sound, I think he's going to make a very good impact for the team that drafted him, and that in this case becomes the Seattle Seahawks. Then we go over to late 6th round where they took Freddie Swain. Sorry, I don't know why I just whatever, but Freddie Swain C+ for this one. I didn't really have him as going in the draft. I didn't really see any upside to him. I gave it a C+ simply because I think they took him as a return man, which is weird because they have Lockett, but I think he's going to be more used in the return game, used on special teams a lot more. But, I didn't see really any upside with him at the receiver position. So, I guess if you're just trying to get him for special teams, it's a little bit better of a grade. But overall, I didn't really like this pick. I think there's better options out there. I didn't really have him as a guy. I think he was a UDFA grade in my opinion. So getting him here in the 6th round was a little bit too steep for me. And then we go over to Steven Sullivan here, where I give a B- to them. Getting another tight end, getting more depth is cool with me. Sullivan was not a productive tight end at LSU at all. He barely got any catches at all, which was weird because they took him over the actual starting tight end at LSU, Thaddeus Moss, who I think has incredible upside. I think he came out too early, but I think that's because he knows that teams can see his upside. Ended up going as a UDFA to the Redskins, but you could have taken him here and let him grow behind whoever you have there to where, maybe he would end up being the better tight end out of the two of Colby Parkinson. Sullivan, I don't really see having the most upside. I think that at most he's going to be a fringe starter at the NFL level, but I guess he has size and strength, and that's what you're looking for from him. He was a converted receiver at LSU, and he really did not get any production. So didn't really love the pick there. Overall, for Seattle, there's a lot of things that they did very bad. There's a very few things that they did very good. I gave this one a B-. Not the absolute worst thing because they saved themselves with picks like Colby Parkinson, Damian Lewis, and Alton Robinson, and even DJ Dallas maybe in the 4th as well. So they fixed it a little bit, but wasting pick on Jordan Brooks, this could be a C draft as well. It's probably literally at the 80 mark if you're going from a scale to 100. Last but not least, we're going to be doing the San Francisco 49ers, and luckily they are not a long draft class. So if you are sticking with me on this video 23 minutes in, thank you so much for doing it. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. They did a weird thing here in this draft class. I don't really agree with the needs that they have here for ESPN, but I loved their draft class. I really did. I think there's some things they could have done a little bit better, but overall, I did like what they brought to the table. Javon Kinlaw here in the 1st round, A+. Love what he brings from a pass rushing standpoint. He's going to fill that DeForest Buckner role in pretty much perfectly. Add to that defensive line what they lost in Buckner and keep the defense looking how it did last year. The reason they did so well is because of their defense. So when you get rid of one of the best pieces of it, you got to replace him. And I think Javon Kinlaw, even though he even said he wanted to go there before the draft, gets picked there at pick 14. Love that. And then they pass up on a receiver, especially a top one in Jerry Jeudy. But then they come back around at pick 25 and they take Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. One of my favorite receivers in this class, forks up. This is a guy who just had so much upside coming out of ASU. He's got speed. He's able to return very well. He's able to make defenders miss. He's great at run after the catch. He's got very solid hands. He's made some incredible grabs there for Arizona State. So overall, just an absolute overhaul in the first round with these two picks. I think that these two are going to fit in right away, start right away, and make it an immediate impact. What am I going to say? Yep, right away. Then we go all the way to the 5th round. Yes, they did not have a pick from rounds 2 through 4, and we all knew that going in, and we thought maybe they'd trade down. They said nope, we're taking the best guys available and sitting pretty. Well, they ended up waiting for their picks in the 5th round, and in the 5th round they get Colton McKivitz here. I give this one an A+ just for the value. I really like what he brings. I think he's going to have the upside to grow. And then when you get a guy like Trent Williams to fill that Joe Staley role, this is a guy who can learn behind everybody on the offensive line. You have McGlinchey, who's young. You have Williams, who's a very good veteran, one of the best tackles we have in all football. So for him to sit back and learn, Williams has dealt with injuries before. So, if you need a guy to start in place of maybe a Trent Williams or McGlinchey or somebody, I think McKivitz can be able to fill that hole. I think he has versatility. I think you're going to be able to do that. I really like the value here in the 5th round. I gave that one an A+. Here in the 6th round, I gave this pick a B. Charlie Woerner out of Georgia. Just didn't really think of him as a top tight end compared to other guys that were still on the board here. Overall, I think that you could have gotten a lot better. I think this is a spot where, a Thaddeus Moss or a Sullivan could have went compared to Woerner. But, they ended up taking Woerner here. I guess I can't complain because tight end, I think, is something they could use behind Kittle just because, you need the depth. Kittle missed some time, and it's a very big difference. But adding depth, it's cool. I guess you're probably going to use him maybe on some special teams as well. I think the reason they took him is because he's a solid blocker, and that's going to help them out a lot at the next level because they're such a run-heavy offense. But overall, I just didn't really see the upside with this pick. Didn't really like it too much, especially early 6th round. I think they could have went different. So Woerner, that's going to be a B. And then in the 7th round, Jajuan Jennings out of Tennessee. I gave this one an A because he has such upside there. He's still learning the position, he says it right there. He was a quarterback in high school, and they moved him to wide receiver, so he's still learning the position, and that's really what you can say is that the upside when he learns might be good. Terrell Pryor became one of the best receivers in football after he moved from quarterback to receiver, so there's definitely the upside of that. You have a great system there with Kyle Shanahan. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. What else can you say? So overall, only 5 picks. But this was a very solid draft class. I'm going to give them also an A+ for this draft class. Now, you might be looking, they didn't really help the secondary. Well, here's the thing. This team doesn't really have many needs, all right? They have things that they could address, but they don't have any needs, in my opinion. So for them to come back around with all this talent, I think that this was a solid draft class. It might be more an A than an A+, but I think I'm going to give them the A+ just because I get what they're trying to do in Charlie Woerner. Just add more depth in the tight end position that can block. And that's what they did. So overall, love these picks and love what the NFC West as a division is doing. This is going to be one of the most competitive divisions in football. One of these teams isn't going to make the playoffs, and that's insane to think about. Overall, let me know what you think the draft classes were. Give me your team grades for these guys as well. Make sure to look out for the AFC West later on tonight. I'm going to probably putting that out later tonight, maybe 6, 7 p.m. Pacific time, so make sure to look out for that. Of course, if you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on. We post daily content at this channel. Super fun doing NFL draft grades for a little bit until we get into more of the Madden stuff as well. If you guys want to see me do different Madden videos, maybe draft champions and stuff like that, let me know in the comment section below. But without further ado, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, but if you didn't, please refresh the page, check it out again, let me know what I did the second time. And without further ado, that is going to be for me. I'll see you guys in the next video.